Hey, welcome to another episode of Freedom on Fire. I'm your host, Robert BOBTV Brown. Now, we already went over the tax bill. Recently, I did a video on the pros and cons of the tax bill, how it's going to help those who making about less than $50,000 for a couple of years, and then they're going to raise your taxes up. How it hurts the local, state, and community because it gets rid of the state and local income tax, which seemed like a good thing for people who barely got the money, but it's not a good thing because we need the taxes to go to fund programming, certain programs in the community that help people. The Republicans are calling it an entitlement. It's not an entitlement, you punks. It's an investment. We, the people who making the middle class and lower class, have been funding this government for years, for decades. We, the normal Joe average citizen making less than $100,000 a year, has been financing and putting money into the community. We pay for your police officers. We pay in your job. We're allowing you to have free health care. Some of you get free meals at the Capitol. You're getting entitlements. We are paying for your entitlements, Congressman, President. We're paying your salary. We're paying for your entitlement. That helicopter you're flying in, those tickets you fly in to go to different communities, everything. None of this stuff is coming out of your pocket. It's coming out of our pocket, including your salary. So for you to sit there and talk about entitlements, you're the one entitled. You're the one got it good. We put you in office and we're paying your salary. We're paying your medical bill. We're paying your children's medical bill. We're paying for any education that you might want to kind of bump up in your life. We're paying for that. And you're going to come here and talk about we're being entitled, that you want to cut our entitlement program that we invest in? Oh, we need to do something with these lazy son of a guns. They're just sitting at home. Who told you that? Who told you that? And you Republicans that making over under $100,000, these people are stabbing you in the back, and you're a fool for supporting them. Now, don't get me wrong. The Democrats are just as corrupt and stupid too. The corporate Democrats are nothing more than lightweight Republicans, and they're voting against your best interest too. You voting against your best interest. The Democratic corporate leaders voting against your best interest, and the Republicans, they are born and breed to vote against your best interest. All they care about is they high money donors and cater to them, and they'll rather the money to shift to them, to the rich, and have you pay for their mess. And they're talking about their deficit hawks, and they add into the deficits, and they want to use the cutting of entitlements to chop down the deficit when it's there. Unnecessary spending for the military, unnecessary kissing up to the rich in taxes, and that money alone, that blank check they gave Trump to the military, that blank check alone is enough to fix the social programs, the so-called entitlement programs. That money, they took your money, our money, funding the military that don't need funding. We're not at war. We're looking for somebody to bully around. And then they want us to pay for the bullying. They want us to pay for that. Then, we ain't got to ask where we're going to get the money from. We're just going to take it out of the American people. We're going to have the American people pay for it, whether they like it or not. They're not going to do anything about it. You do realize that's what they're saying. You're not going to do anything about it. And you're not. We're just letting it happen. When are we going to stop that? They're taking our money, the money that come out of our taxes, and most of our discretionary income is going toward paying the military. And we just gave them billions of dollars to fund more military operations or to build up weapons and things like that. And we're not even at freaking war with anybody. They decided to do that without your permission. And not only that, they just gave a huge tax cuts that's going to cost us, the real investors into our economy, the real investors into our tax programs, the people who are pouring into the tax system, the normal average citizen making $100,000 and under. They're going to take our money, our investment, to help fund this tax bill to kiss up to the rich, so they can blow up the deficit. And then they can say, well, the deficit is high now. It wasn't the military that did it. It wasn't our tax cut that did it. But however we messed it up, we're going to take it out of the behind of the working people. No, 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 people. You better start standing up against that. That is not fair. You made the investment. They didn't invest it. They didn't invest it. Sure, they may have paid taxes with their taxpayers' money, but you better believe they found ways to take the money that you're paying them to skate around not paying taxes, and Donald Trump made it happen, and Paul Ryan made it happen with this tax bill. And now they're going to, they know they're going to balloon the budget up, the so-called deficit hawks. They're going to blow the budget up, and it's going to hurt the Republicans making $100,000 or less, even with a job. It's not going to fund job programs. You always talking about people, they're lazy sons of guns and they need to find a job. The only way they can find a job is if you develop a jobs program and you vest our tax money into programs that's going to provide jobs, not military jobs, that's going to provide real jobs within the communities of the United States. Change our trade where we can get these jobs to start springing up business here to employ the workers here. American made, what happened to that? Mr. America Make Great Again. What happened to, we're going to make these things made in America. We're going to have iPhones made in America. What happened to all that stuff? Talk too much. You never shut up, and you're talking out your behind, and now the truth is coming out of your mouth. And you Republicans make $100,000 or less. You know this is going to hurt your income, and you know it may not be hurting you, affecting you. You may have everything going right, but let me tell you who's really suffering. Since you want to talk about welfare, a lot of people in the white middle class and lower class are one paycheck away from a disaster. A lot of them don't have jobs, so they need the funding. They still have to eat. And when they did have jobs, they paid into this tax investment system. And you don't think they're entitled to get some of it back until they get a job? You got to be out of your mind, you arrogant, cocky Republican elite, Democratic elite. Folks, I keep telling you, these people are not in this to help further you. They're in this to help further their careers so they can sit on some freaking board and live off millions for showing up at 4 or 5 meetings a year for about 3 hours and go on a party and later on that weekend. They don't care about you. You're going to have to force them to care. Number one, you got to stop putting these people in office that don't have a track record of your best interest. Just because they say they're going to do something don't mean they can do something. People say stuff and lie in your face. Yeah, at the same time, they're taking your tax money to fund them, to help them skate paying taxes and help their rich elite buddies skate paying taxes while you're sitting here suffering. You realize this Trump tax bill is going to hurt anybody making $50,000? Most Americans not making $50,000 over. Majority of Americans don't. Yet you've been sold this bill of goods that this tax program is going to benefit you, and it's not if you look at it. Now, I'm going to read the article, and I went a little too long on it, about Paul Ryan and this plan to stab you in the back. It says, this is in the Washington Examiner. It says the House could be first up to tackle entitlement reforms. They want to reform the so-called entitlement programs. No, it's not an entitlement program. Those are your freaking talking points. These are investment programs. If I invest with my taxes into on the funding of your jobs and programs, you need to come to me and let me know. You don't make that decision for us. People, you got to stop letting them make these decisions for you. You got to pull a lockdown, and you got to start going out and start causing a ruckus. Now, you ain't going to do nothing violent, but cause a freaking ruckus. Hit your congressman by phone, by email. You show up at their office. You stand and protest. You do whatever you need to do to show them that you're not going to take it. You got to let them know that we're not going to take it. Because you're not. If you lie down and let them do this, they're going to dominate you. This is class warfare. They are the rich and wealthy, and you help them become that. A lot of them was that before they ran for office. Where are the grassroots people who had nothing that are running from office? No, you're always looking for the lawyer or the attorney or the ex-judge to run for office. You need to run for office. The school teacher, the cafeteria lady, the bus driver, the janitor need to run for office because they know what the working person really needs. We supposed to be voting these people in the office to take care of us, not themselves. And they're not going to take care of you. House could be first up to tackle entitlement reforms. This is from Robert King in the Washington Examiner. Republicans who want to overhaul entitlement programs like Medicare and Medicaid will have to look at the House to take the first crack at it next year. Now they got the House and Senate. They got full control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. Democrats need to stop having a head in their butt and wake up and listen to the people, make some serious reforms, some changes, and listen to the people if they want to take the House and Senate back. The Green Party is not going to be able to do it, and I support the Green Party. The rent too damn high party ain't going to do it. The brand new Congress is not going to do it in a big measure. They will take some seats, and I'm all for that. Draft people for Bernie for a People Party, or draft for a People Party, whatever their name. They're not going to be able to do it. It's going to take a collective. Just as Democrats not going to be able to do it on their own, it's going to take a collective. My thing is, I'm looking for people who really, really have been connected to the people on a consistent basis, working for the people on a consistent basis, who decide to run for office. If they got a legislation or if they have an agenda to bring working people up, they're going to get my vote. But if you're wealthy or leading, you got a track record of stabbing working people in the back, regardless, especially for your donors, you're not getting my freaking vote. And those people who pretty much run the government right now on the opposite side, you need to make a contract with America and stick to it if you want to take over the House and Senate. I am for progressive, people who want people to progress in life. That is a progressive. Progressive is not a Democratic term. It's not a Republican term. It has no label. I'm looking for a person who's progressive about helping people come up. That's who I'm looking to run for office, and that's who I'm going to support. We need to put these people in office to fight against this thing. The Republicans want to overhaul programs like Medicare, Medicaid, even food stamps, SNAP, and you name it. They want to overhaul it. They're saying that they have to look to the House to take the first crack next year. House Speaker Paul Gutless Ain't Got No Guts, a punk Ryan, told radio show host Ross Kaminsky, somebody who has money, this is what he said about those who don't have it. That he wants to revisit entitlement reform. See, he got Trump on his side. He got the House and Senate in the majority. So he feels he can pass his agenda. We got to revisit reform at tax reforms once tax reform is finished. We have to revisit entitlements. But the last effort to tackle entitlements in Obamacare repeal failed in the Senate last summer. And a member of Senate leadership said that the House will have to take the first step at any reform bill. In other words, he's encouraging the House to get to work on it now. I don't know that this is something that we talk about that over here, but my understanding is the House is considering it, said John Thune, who happens to be a Republican, third-ranking GOP senator. Thune was asked if the Senate would take up an entitlement reform bill if the House passed one. He said, if the House sent us something, yeah, he will respond. Yeah, he responded. Thune said the entitlement reform is not a matter of cutting programs. It is a matter of making them work better for future generations, he said. They're not sustainable long term. The currency is trajectory. Now let me stop there. He's saying we don't want to get rid of it. We just want to make it better for the long term. That is a GOP talking points to say they didn't want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of it as it is because it's helping too many people. They want to slimline it and have that extra money go toward paying the mess that they cause to make it seem like these programs are unaffordable. These programs are very affordable if we shave off 2, 5, 6%, not even 10% of the discretionary spending on our military. Not only that, we can fund free education. We can fund universal health care, and that money that you save on those two is enough alone to help deal with some of the entitlements like food stamps. I mean, if we shave off the military complex a little bit, we don't have to worry about Medicare and Medicaid. We will have Medicare for all, and we will save money. Bernie showed that. So these are the Republican talking points, but people, you're waking up to the fact that they're lying to you. Because if we take some of that military budget, the bottom line is they are the one killing entitlement, the funding for entitlement programs. And then they want to say it's the way the programs are developed. They don't want to say it's them overblowing the military budget. They don't want to say it's them and these dumb tax reforms and catering to the rich and this and that and this and that, and trying to keep people under the system of insurance agencies being the middleman in our health care. They don't want to say that. They want to say, well, you know, this is the reason why we need to reform. The money is not going right. It's all messed up. It's dying. And, you know, we need to fix it because it's bad in its current form. No, it's bad in its current form because you're taking funding away from you, you dumb. Let me calm down. It's a matter of making them work better for future generations. It's working fine. You're taking money out of it and you're sending it to the military. I mean, if we just had Medicare for all and no cost education for all, like most modern countries doing, happy countries, we will be in the surplus, because now we got money saved to take care of where we can buy our food and things like that. We wouldn't need food stamps or nothing like that, or SNAP, or we wouldn't need help paying the light bill. Any retirement form will focus on Medicare, which provides health care for seniors, and Medicaid coverage for low-income and disabled people. Republicans have long said that the spending on the program is driving too much debt and deficit. No, the spending on the military and all these other programs that you're initiating on purpose, whether people gave you the approval or not, that money is going to pay for that. The reason that the debt is high is because you're paying for that crap. Shave off the money on those two things, then we can keep this taken care of. It's not the programs. It's the overblowing spending on pork barrel and all this other kind of stuff, trying to cater to your donors, the military complex, the corporate complex. Kissing up to your donors is hurting these programs. That money need to be going back into the program because your donors didn't pay into it as much as the working class. The working class are in the majority into paying the taxing system. Your donors are looking for ways not to pay in the tax system, and you're helping them. We're going to have to get back next year on entitlement reform. No, you're not going to get back, because if people get their act together and start catering toward the people, they're going to take over the House and Senate and start taking care of the people again instead of you taking care of your donors. There ain't going to be no next year for you if we do what's right. We're going to have to get back to next year at entitlement reform, which is how you tackle the debt and the deficit, Ryan said. No, how you tackle the debt and deficit is stop adding to the debt and deficit with these dumb military programs. Now, don't get me wrong. Let me backtrack here. We need to fund the military. Our soldiers need to be paid well. I believe that if the New York Police Department, after a few years, can pay you $90,000 a year to police New York City, one of the toughest cities in the world, then yes, the military should be, each person that decide to join the military after their 5th year, if they decide to stay in it, they should get 6 figures. If the cops in New York City, the police department should get $90,000, almost 6 figures for working a few years. If you decide to make the military a career thing, and you commit to it in a contract, you should not only get great housing. Base housing is perfect. You shouldn't have to pay for housing and nothing like that, but you should have a salary, a decent salary of $100,000 where you can invest in things like that. And if you do decide after a certain amount of time your contract is done, you should never have to worry about housing. You should never have to worry about food. Number one, you've made enough money where you can buy a house, so homelessness shouldn't be a problem once you got out of the military. And you should be able to get a job or start your own business easy once you get out of the military, so you're not worrying about food, clothing, and shelter. Those are some of the things I would talk about if I ever ran for office. It might happen soon. So Republicans need to stop pushing the blame on entitlement reforms and look at where they're putting the money at in the military complex. That alone, it's important to have a military. It's important to have a strong military. But it's not important to take steroids to show your muscles. No. Show your muscles the right way. Eat lean and lift weights. That's what our military need to be doing. Eating lean and lifting weights. That money need to be stop going there as much and going back into these programs. You're going to blame this on the programs? Really, dude? Really? You've been reading too much of your girl. Stop, man. You don't know what you're talking about, Paul Ryan. And this guy is third from the presidency. You get rid of Trump, you're going to get Pence. You get rid of Pence, you're going to get this guy. Trump don't know what he's doing. This guy knows what he's doing. Medicare spending grew 3.6% in 2016 and 2015. How much did the military spending grow, Paul Ryan? Huh? How much did the military spending grow? I bet you it's way more than 3.6%. With the U.S. spending $672 billion. Nothing near what you just spent on the military. You gave them extra money on top of stuff. They were already fully funded. You're going to give them even more money. For Medicaid, spending grew 3.9% to $565 billion in 2016, according to the data from the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Service. Nowhere near the military budget, Doc. The Congressional Budget Office predicted in March that the deficit will rise from 2.3% of gross domestic product in 2017 to 9.8% in 2047, a long time from now. A major factor is entitlement spending such as Social Security and Medicare. No, you're wrong. It is raised that much because of the money that you're spending unwisely on unnecessary stuff. The entitlement reforms that you call it, Medicaid, that's necessary spending. The people are spending that money. Who are you to tell us what to do with the money that we spend? The people in majority said the money should be going to these programs and not those programs. The deficit is rising because of your dumb legislation. Ryan made his remarks last week after the Senate passed a version of the tax reform legislation that the Joint Committee of Taxation estimate would increase the deficit by $1 trillion. Just the tax bill alone increased the deficit $1 trillion. And you want to worry about Medicaid and Medicare increasing $565 billion? That ain't even half of a trillion, barely. Dude, really? And even account for any charges for economic growth caused by the legislation. This law alone is going to cost us $1 trillion, Mr. Deficit Hawks. And it's going to hurt working people. Ryan bashed several projects that showed that tax cuts would not pay for themselves, noting that the estimate don't take into account pro-growth tax policies. He added Wednesday that the Obamacare repeal passed by the House was the biggest entitlement reform ever passed by Congress. It's the biggest kiss-up to the insurance industry. Your boys. Real progressives want to get rid of your boys. We want to get rid of the insurance company. We want to get rid of the lobbyists. And we want to put this under a program where you can take the Medicare and the Medicaid, forget the funding there, fully fund Medicare for all, and save the taxpayers dollars where they can infuse it into the economy. The holdout on the skinny bill had not weighed in on taking another run at entitlement reforms. I have to look at the details of what the proposal is. That is just something I will have to examine, said Senator John McCain in Arizona, who voted against the skinny bill, but did vote for tax reform. I have no idea what is going to be proposing, so I can't judge that, said Senator Susan Collins, a Republican from Maine. Collins joined McCain and Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska to defeat the skinny bill. All three come from that state that expanded Medicare. It is not clear if an entitlement reform package can pass the Senate. Ryan's spokeswoman, Ashley Strong, told the Washington Examiner that talks on specific entitlement reforms is premature. She noted that the legislative agenda for 2018 would be fleshed out during the January retreat for the House. Because of a Senate tool being used to bypass Democratic-led filibuster, the House may have to take up any bill to overhaul the program. The procedure tool reconciliation lets the Senate pass bills with only 51 votes instead of 60 needed to stop a filibuster. But to do that, the bill must originate in the House and reduce the deficit among the requirements. It appears like the Republicans would use reconciliation to pass an entitlement reform to avoid opposition from Democrats. Republicans also say they want to tackle Obamacare repeal again next year. However, any use of reconciliation will leave out Social Security reform. The Senate is barred from using reconciliation to pass any bill that targets Social Security, meaning that overhauling the politically popular program would take 60 votes in the Senate, which they don't have. Republicans face another obstacle besides Democrats. President Trump has been reluctant to cut Medicare, even though he embraced the Obamacare repeal bill that would have cut Medicaid. He has not shown us much interest, so we are working with the president on the entitlements that he wants to reform, that he is supportive of, Ryan said. So they know they can't really use the reconciliation part of passing the bill, especially when it comes to Social Security and things like that. It's not going to be that easy. But one of the reasons why we're doing the push and the cry for Medicare for all, because the Medicare for all, if we just shave a little bit of the defense bill, we can fund Medicare for all, and we can fund higher education at no cost. With just these two programs, we will save money, save the consumer money, where they can put it back into the commerce system, which will boost the economy. At the same time, it's their tax money. The working class is paying majority of the taxes in America. Who in the blue hell and heaven are you to tell the people how to spend their money, Paul Ryan? Who are you? And any other person, Democrat or Republican, who are you? What give you the guts and galls to determine how to spend our money? That's why we need to have legislation let these people know that you cannot do anything without the overwhelming opinion, public opinion, giving you the opportunity to do it. If the opinion is not at 60%, you can't do it. If the opinion is at 60% across the aisle, then you got the approval to do it. You should not be making these decisions on entitlement programs or anything else, including funding tax programs and things like that, without the overall approval of the American public. We got to find some way to fix this. We got to find some way to hold these people's feet to the fire and put something in legislative form that you cannot make any kind of decision, whether it's war, going to war, passing a bill, entitlement reform, none of that stuff should not even be talked about in the House or Senate without overwhelming public opinion. If there's overwhelming public opinion for it, then you can go forward in the House, in the Senate, and possibly the desk of the president. If it doesn't come out of the court of public opinion, you can't do it. So we got to find some ways. They're making these decisions for us. You're not making them. Even though we're overwhelmingly against the majority of the things that they're passing, it still doesn't matter. They're still going to push it. It still become law, and you and I will get hurt for it. When are we going to stand up against this and put them in a position that they cannot make any decision without the people? This is supposed to be a government for the people, by the people, and of the people. And right now, this is a government is for the elite, which including the people in Congress, by the elite, which including the people in Congress and their donors, and of the elite. The poor people has been left out of the topic of conversation. I'm BOBTV, Freedom on Fire. Peace. Hey, thank you for watching the webcast. By all means, make sure you like, subscribe, and share these videos. Go to YouTube right now and hit the notification button and hit the subscribe. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, by all means, there's a Patreon link. I will put a PayPal link, and the money toward that goes toward equipment, things like that. And last but not least, make sure you look at two sections down below. One is called Get to Know LS, the membership. The other one is Get to Know LS, the opportunity. What do you mean LS? LS is a program that called LegalShield that I am an independent representative of. It has that company has nothing to do with my views. I fell in love with this program about a decade ago. I've been doing this for over a decade, offering the services to people to benefit and connecting people to the services, putting them in a position where equal justice under the law is not just on the Supreme Court building. It's actually becoming a reality in their lives by having this membership. And this, with this organization, not only will you be able to know about your rights in a certain area, but you'll know about how to exert and execute your right with the power of attorney, top-rated attorney, backing you no matter where you go, without worrying about all this money coming out your pocket and things like that. So get to know LS, the member, financially. You can help contribute this program by becoming a member. Some of the proceeds of being a member of LS goes toward Freedom on Fire and the Rob Report. I'm Robert BOBTV Brown. I thank you for being a huge support to what we do here. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.